one of the things about Metroplex that I think is super cool is that rarely do toy companies use the resources to make a huge toy that actually should be huge. Now, if you think about it, this guy normally, you know, when the toy designers are pitching this, what would this guy be more likely to be? An Optimus Prime, a Bumblebee. A giant toy is a risk of a lot of money, so it's usually supposed to be a safe bet. And in this case, this is not a name brand character except to collectors. So they took a risk, and I appreciate that. And what they did is create a giant toy of something that's supposed to be giant. So he's not going to fit in a lot of collections. And, you know, as big as he is, he's really not big enough to fit in the collection that most people have, which is sort of your classics or your masterpiece scale, at least for Transformers. But anyway, point is, he is gigantic. Other gigantic toys, like this Darth Vader here, kind of illustrate my point. Now, he is a very cool action figure, and my kids loved him. It was worth the price of admission when they opened this thing up on Christmas. But once you do, what do you really do with him? So he kind of ends up standing around, sitting in different places, but he's not supposed to be huge. He's really better as like a 3 3/4 or a 6-inch figure where he can interact with other figures and with an environment. What are you going to do with a Darth Vader this big? What are you going to do with a Power Ranger that's this big? So, you know, as a collector, it kind of leaves you cold, but you put it on the shelf, it sells, toy company makes money, so this is, you know, a pretty safe way to do things. Which is why Jakks Pacific, who made this thing, they also have a product that I think is very cool. I haven't bought it yet, but that huge Godzilla. Because again, he's not a robot, but he's something that's meant to be huge, and he's got a toy that is huge. So I love that. I think that's great. And I appreciate that about the scale of Metroplex. When you open his legs, Metroplex has some rooms with control screens and you know, various details, ramps, things like that that allow you to kind of have an internal environment for him. Now, when you use the bots he's designed for as a toy, they definitely look too big and out of scale. Now, I happen to like Cosmos like this just because he's gigantic in the IDW comics, but you know, other than him, most of the characters are going to be too big. Now, the older style Legends, they definitely fit in a lot better. Megatron, again, being a larger bot, kind of works for me, but still a little bit out of scale. Now, to me, the better scale is when you start to get into, you know, your Micromasters, your Minicons, even some of the larger ones. They work very well. But of course, the perfect scale, in my opinion, is the world's smallest Transformers. They definitely can interact with the screens and the controls and just look very natural. You know, kind of the only problem with these is they're all based on the G1 designs, so some of them tend to be kind of fugly and kind of fall apart and all that kind of stuff, which is why I'm glad that in the new Legends line they've taken the opportunity to turn some of the Target Masters into G1 bots. Can't wait to get Scrapnel with Reflector. There's also some Beast Wars homages in there. So these guys fit in perfectly with World's Smallest Transformers, and they have more of a modern aesthetic that fits in. Of course, Soundwave was so far ahead of his time that he still looks great with these guys, but even the non-name characters, you know, like this guy, you know, who's not recognizable as, you know, any of the main line, he still looks great. He can interact with the environment, and you know, you can just pretend he's a GoBot or something. So one thing about Metroplex's scale that I find really fun is kind of mixing it with these micro machine play sets. Now, you can have a lot of fun, you know, setting up your scenarios in these environments and then introducing the massive scale of the Metroplex, the walking city. You can, you can have all kinds of things. You can, he could be grabbing Soundwave. He could just be smashing him. Whatever you want. Definitely I want to pick up that huge Godzilla and set up a little city scene for them to kind of fight over. All kinds of possibilities. So much fun to be had. Another fun thing to do with Metroplex is to pose him holding normal-sized objects. For instance, scissors, customizing tools, PlayStation controllers, iPods. How much you want to bet that Stan Bush on that thing? Spatula, wallets, a wine glass. But in the end, he always looks best holding the accessories he's meant to hold. Not to mention you can sit him in little kids' chairs, rocking chairs, rocking horse, and of course keeping it safe in the car seat. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up. I've definitely had fun making this video, putting it all together. Hopefully you've had some fun watching it. And yeah, Metroplex, he's a big fun hunk of plastic, and what's the point of any hobby if not to, spark some thought and some creativity. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care until next time.